Yes, another question.
My question, I'm Pastor Manny Brambila from Bolingbrook, Illinois. My question is, how can we involve the Hispanic community into towards Israel? How can we educate them to help the Israelites?
Good question.
You know, I never thought of myself as making a studied effort, and we have in Southern California a very large Hispanic congregation at the Church on the Way, and I've always had a significant number of Hispanics in the congregation, even before we had the bilingual availability. The challenge that I've found in communicating with people who have been in significant numbers either oppressed by the way they were treated or limited in their capacities for social economic ascendancy by circumstances, is that they are very vulnerable to the propaganda mill that makes it easy for them to identify with the way the Palestinians are cast. So it's not a matter of creating hostility toward genuine human beings in need, but when it's dishonestly presented and when it is with calculation sustained without any effort of helping, they need to understand that. Helping the people, number one, understand the people with whom they would identify, that they can care about those people, but it doesn't mean that the cause in this case in Israel is legitimate. Secondly, of course, with a believing community, information where they understand how to pray, understand the issues at stake spiritually, understand the political issues. If we don't stand with Israel, our nation will become like the rest of the nations. And the Bible is very clear that the judgment of God is going to come down on what will eventually be prophetically. Zechariah, for example, chapter 12, 13, and 14. Jesus talks about it in Matthew 24. There will come the gathering of all the nations, it says all the nations, against Jerusalem and Israel. And it doesn't say all except one. I say, the Lord says, I will bless the nation that blesses my people. When we stop that, we're in trouble. Help the people understand that's a motivator. And it's not just to preserve ourselves. It's a matter that as long as America in its strength stands behind Israel, it'll be that benefit and advance the blessing in the land. So giving the people the biblical background, and it's published in Hispanic, 8 reasons why I stand with Israel today. If you'll contact our offices, we'll get copies to you. And Jerry, I'm going to get that to you too. You can use it however you want.
One of the things too that, and I think this is one of the reasons that I have so much concern about the speech that the president gave that we showed at the beginning.
Yeah.
Tipped his hat to Israel, but basically said we're going to push for a Palestinian state. The problem with the Palestinian state is with Hamas, Hezbollah, even Al-Qaeda, Iran, other places. If there's a Palestinian state, 2 things. Number one, they would have access directly into Israel. That's why the wall could be so important. They have direct access into Israel. I mean, if you understand the country, when there's a war, the soldiers take city buses to the battle. I mean, it's that close. Mm-hmm. When there's a war, you can stand any place in Israel and you can hear the bombs go off. I've been in Metula. I've heard this. So it's a very small country, and with a Palestinian state, unless there would be a very moderate position of getting along, which is not going to happen, a Palestinian state in that area it's quite frankly it's not a pragmatic thought. It's a ridiculous thought because it's a dagger at Israel's throat. The other thing, and a lot of people don't know this, the aquifers that supplies the water to Israel are in the West Bank. And to have the Palestinians controlling that is just not really an option. And giving up Jerusalem, the other part of this, the whole thing is they have to give up Jerusalem, give up sovereignty of Jerusalem. Those are things that shouldn't happen. That's my strong feeling. And so we need to understand that it's not a pragmatic thing to have a Palestinian state. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and one of the points that are made so constantly, this is important to answer to add to answering your question, just the education of people with regard to history. There is no historical reason for the claim that Palestinians make of this being their, that the capital Jerusalem should be their capital. It never was related to anything of theirs.
We're out of time. I'm sorry. I wish we had another hour. We could still go another hour. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being with me on the program.
Well, we got that point in.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on TLN Now.